And the truth is, I want to share everything that I know, and I hope that you are blessed by it. I hope that you grow from it. For anyone who tries to put anyone in a box, I think it would be that they haven't taken the time to get to know the person, their heart, their skill, or even see their potential.
So welcome again to our third episode of I Got an Accent. So what? And today I have a very, very special, all my guests are special because I literally handpicked them because they mean something to me. They have impacted my life in a way. And today I have Rebecca Soto. Okay, she's an amazing leader, real estate realtor with the EXP family, which we love. With our legacy, what is it? Soto
Legacy Group.
Legacy Group. This woman have a huge resume, but foremost, I want to thank you for saying yes. She's always say yes. Not to everybody, but to me. Let's clarify that. To me, because it's funny because both career have grown at the same time. We've been in, Jeremy and I in our brokers for 16 years, and you guys as well for 16 years. So it's very similar because today I want to talk about collaboration. It's very important. And I mentioned in the previous episode about collaboration because it's the next currency, Mm-hmm. And when you are sure of what you provide into this community, we don't have to worry or we don't have to be thinking we're competitive, we're anything. At the contrary. Rebecca is an individual and her husband, Josue Soto, that always Jeremy and I admire, and we always feel connected with you guys. Every time we talk, there's an instant magnetism that we talk about. I know. But this woman is a powerhouse, not only because she's been in sales ever since I met you, and I'm sure we're going to talk about her after. Sorry, there I am messing it up again always, but that's what it's all about. But in real estate, you guys have built a very, very solid brand, leadership. She was, and I have to explain for those that don't know about NAREB, she was a former president for NAREB, which is the National Association of Hispanic
Real Estate Professionals. Yep.
She got it. See, I love her for that. Of the Central Florida chapter. Yes. And she made such an impact as a woman that I started, wow, what an amazing impact into those in the industry, right? Mm-hmm. Into real estate. Because I think even before that, it used to be a taboo. Kind of like, oh, you're in real estate, I'm in real estate, let's stay away, right? But I'm getting ahead of myself because besides that, her and her husband wrote an amazing book, which is called Marry in Real Estate. So if you have not read it, you have to. For those couples that are in real estate, please get that book, read it, because it will help you. It will help you understand a lot of things that we need to, that we, go through it all the time. That is not strawberries and sunflowers,
not peaches
and
and creams all the time.
Yes. But again, I want to thank you for again taking the moment today on a Tuesday afternoon. And I just wanted everybody knows that about you. But today we're gonna go deeper into who Rebecca is. Don't get scared.
Well, thank you, Jaya. Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity to be here with you. I equally admire you so much. And the truth is, I love that we're going to be talking about collaboration because I think that we should all have an open heart, that when we come from contribution, when we share openly what we know. I mean, I guess I really don't have a competitive spirit. And the truth is, I want to share everything that I know, and I hope that you are blessed by it. I hope that you grow from it, and you can't beat me because I want you to win, right?
Absolutely.
And that's become a real popular term these days, but I live that. I feel that. Before it was a popular thing to say, I always felt that way,
Selfless mentality.
So I love seeing you and Jeremy's success. Equally, we love you guys so much. This amazing building that you guys have is beautiful. The empire that you guys have built, the G-World Army, oh my God. Like, we're so happy for you all, and proud of you, proud of your success. and hope that we can be part of that in any way, shape, or form. So I love that we get to work together, even though we're in different offices. But that doesn't matter. We can help each other no matter what.
Brothers
right?
and
So,
sisters.
Exactly.
Brothers and sisters in real estate.
That's right.
That should be a thing.
Hey.
Brothers and sisters in real estate. But today, I want to know for you to let us know how you got into real estate, right? How was that? Tell us that story.
Okay.
I know I heard it many times, but I want our audience to hear that, to connect.
Sure. And thanks for asking about that. We do have it. We go through that in the book, but Josh and I, before real estate, we were in totally different occupants. We were. I was in the dental field, and Josh was a truck driver. And there was, after we had gotten married, we were both looking for something more to do. Like we were earning decent money as a career, but we weren't happy with where we were. We wanted to do something more. We were not sure which way to go. And at the time, I was also doing like direct sales with another company. And I was visiting one of my clients, and she happened to be a real estate broker. And she says, Rebecca, I was visiting her. I was just kind of, as I do with all my clients, but she was a friend. And so, I'm just sitting in her office one day. She says, if you worked real estate the way you work this business, you would be really good. And, all the same things that you're doing for me here are the same things that you would do in real estate and be able to make a better living. Not that I was doing poorly, but I thought about that for a moment. I said, you know what? Why am I not doing this? I mean, the whole idea of helping families to achieve the American dream, to help a new family have their first home, to be part of them becoming stable and raising their children and putting down roots, all of that was exciting to me. And I remember when she said that to me, and it's funny when I think about that now, I'm like, how many times do we have the opportunity to plant that that seed in people, right? That they weren't seeing. I was craving something more and I couldn't think of it, right? And here is somebody else who just kind of like makes an observation, shares it, and it goes back to you never know who you're inspiring.
You can impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. I love that because you that said that, I know that and I'm going to do a little story on that because that's the time I met you. And just like what we spoke on the previous episode with Brenda was that person that saw and Jeremy asked about real estate and that person that believed in you. You never know how you can change somebody's life. You know why? Because you're like, who are you that you believe in me when I not even can believe in yourself? So that was the spark. Yeah. The spark of this wildfire that now is a legacy. And when I met you at that time, the story about this is that she was selling Mary Kay. She was very aggressive. Now I know, I understand they told you to be in real estate.
Pleasantly persistent.
This woman was so aggressive that I have to confess I made a little lie. I was 23 at that time. And she tells me, you need a product. And I said, oh, no, I was allergic to the product. She's like, that is so funny because their products are they're not
hypoallergenic. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, this woman is so persistent.
That's so funny you still remember that.
I believe because we were mortgaged at that time. Yeah. And that was when our office was in Osceola Parkway. And I think a year later, you got in real estate with your amazing husband. That I'm like, oh, you both are in real estate. Oh, my God. Jeremy's a realtor, too, because I was at that time mortgage broker. And I was like, that is your calling because you are a natural, persistent salesperson. Because with her kindness, you remind me a lot of Jeremy. With your kindness, you kill people. but saying that, and starting real estate with your husband, I wanted to know, how was your dynamic working with him? Because I talk about it and a lot of people ask me that. And I want to hear from your perspective, how's that dynamic?
Yeah. So I love that you asked that because especially now that we have our brand Married in Real Estate and we've done a few podcasts, it's a topic, it's a hot topic for everyone who's married in real estate. And some people are crushing it together and others are only pretending. I know. They're barely hanging on at the seams, right? But when we first started, I think each one of us kind of took off as individual realtors, right? Because he had a circle of friends and sphere of influence that he knew, and I had my own. So each one of us immediately started working those two different clienteles, right? And just kind of learning to be a realtor, learning what it took, and training and all that stuff. So in the beginning, we're both working as individuals, right? And a little down the ways, I remember, let me think here real quick. As the market started to crash, we are having to make a shift,
We
right?
were there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a really tough time, and almost feels like right now, but it was
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
different. It was uncomfortable, but it was different, right? But I remember as what was going around was a lot of people, sharing BPOs, like companies that do BPOs. You can sign up to do BPOs with this company and sign up to do REOs and all this stuff. And so we did that for a while, and then I really started to hate real estate.
Yeah.
I hated it. I hated it. My life was not what I signed up to do. BPO reports. I mean,
For those audience, BPO is a type of an appraisal.
a broker's
was-
price opinion.
Exactly. Broker's price opinion. And yeah, if you didn't like to do that.
And it's not just not liking it. It's a very hounding job. They started off paying more, but as more realtors are entering, because everyone's suffering
course.
and needing to make
Extra.
extra money, there's more realtors, and so they're paying less for their report. So now you're doing a report that takes a lot of time, and you're not getting paid well for it, and it was a hounding job, and then you're constantly a slave to the computer, right? So anyways, things are changing, and I decide to take a different direction. So I'm sitting at home, and we had done, at this point, fast forward, we've done some short sales as well. And a friend of mine calls me one day, and she says, "Rebecca, I need help in my company. I have a short sale processing center, and I can use you." And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing a whole lot right now. Let me just take her offer, and I'll help her out.
Wow.
And so I moved over to a title company, and I said, I'll just be here a year or two. Then 5 years later,
Wow.
time flew by. And of course, we're coming out of the market crash. So the short sales are starting to thin out.
Of course.
And again, I was finding myself miserable yet again. In the beginning, it was all exciting because I'm learning to do something new.
Yeah.
And taking on new challenges. But once that started to get really old, I started realizing that's not what I was designed to do.
Exactly.
And so I decided to go back to my company. So that's where things changed when I came back, because when I came back, I saw that Josh had continued. He was still in our company the whole time. I had been, anyone who called me, I would shift them to him to do to work the business. So now he's in full production, and I am not.
Wow.
And so I said, do I want to come and jump back in?
Yeah.
Or do I take another role within the company? And so that's where, when I came back, I said, no, I'm going to focus more on marketing. I'm going to focus more on agent training and growing the company.
That's beautiful.
And
And
so-
your forte has always been customer service.
Yeah.
So by getting the marketing side of it, which you did an amazing job when you were the former president of NARAB, you put NARAB, Central Florida on the map with your skills.
Yeah, well, thank you. And the thing is, when we came back from when I came back to my company, I want to say it's around 2015, 14, 15, somewhere around there. And we started a NARAP about that time. So we're coming out of, we have come out of that, and we're just wanting to volunteer, honestly. We didn't know what it would take to get involved with NARAP. And we just came with an open heart to serve and see how we can help, how we can plug in, how we can better the organization with whatever we could offer.
Wow, that word that you said, serve, it have helped me and Jeremy in so many ways, because when you have a serving kind of heart, it's a floodgates of blessings in your life, because then you're not doing it in the sense of another dollar. You're doing it from the heart, truly helping somebody. And that was the next question. And I know we mentioned a lot on collaboration, but I want to dig more. Why is collaboration so important to you?
Why is it important to me? I think personally, I believe that I was always like on the outside trying to look in, trying to
Mm-hmm.
learn things on my own, feeling a little lost, feeling like I didn't have a support, like I didn't have someone else to go to. And so having seen that I was missing
Mm-hmm.
collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
instead of being spiteful and saying, well, I'm not going to share anything that I know with anybody. It took me a long time to learn
What they were doing
this,
to us.
right? And the contrary, I felt like I want to help other people. I had such a hard time struggling to get up. I want to reach my hand out and pull someone else up.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I felt, you know? And so I think that that word to me means a lot, because that's what I wanted, and so now that's what I want to give.
You give what you want,
Mhm.
right? What you
Mhm.
want somebody to do that in. And it's funny because our path is so similar in that sense. And you guys are big in bringing people up. Your group, your whole entire organization
Mhm.
is big into lifting people up. And the same way with Jeremy. Sometimes even people say, why you guys take the times? Like, it's because it's our duty.
Mhm.
Nobody did it for us. So we're huge on that second chance.
Mhm.
We're huge because somebody did it for us. So it's a way to paying back, because in the sense of helping in other sense, but in real estate for us was very lonely
Mhm.
because everybody was super quiet. I remember me and Jeremy. Jeremy would call this agent to show property, and at that time he didn't know the lingo,
Mhm.
and people will actually tell him, until you don't know how to speak like a realtor, call me back, and they'll hang up. And
That's
there he went and called
horrible.
again. I just want to show a property of my buyer. So right there, then is when our mentality as service as giver switch, and I think the same way for us, collaboration.
Yeah.
It's important. It's our duty to do it, and that is the core of this podcast. For female,
Mhm.
Latina, that we don't want to pretend to be perfect, but we wanted to know people to know that we're true,
Mm.
that we're real, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That in the hard time, we don't have no issue putting our sleeve up, getting dirty, and getting down to earth to
That's
to
right.
to show people our our excellence and our identity in that sense. And on that real estate side, that you hit everything that I knew that you were gonna talk about, which is the collaboration. You're teaching. You truly are, not only have a serving heart, but you truly are a teacher at heart, a coach.
Mhm.
And I seen your progress, and it's beautiful. And
Thank you.
again, I can only, every time I see you, we always talk. I always want you to know how proud and how honored I am, because we are married, have our struggle, but we still, fighting for a better tomorrow,
Mhm.
and showing people that no matter how hard the day is, we can always, as long as our heart is correct.
Mhm.
Then I wanted to kind of go into that Latina side. So a lot of people, social media creates a world that makes everything looks perfect, right? But we understand that what we see there is not real, right?
Mm.
We see success, but people don't put the struggle of that success. We put people on jets, but we don't know what it took that individual to get there.
Mhm.
So sometimes we see people smiling, right? They look so perfect, but then when they go into the car and they shut that car, you see somebody probably crying,
Mhm.
somebody probably frustrated,
Mhm.
somebody probably hurting,
Mhm.
right? So why do you think people put us Latina in a box, and or they try to label us?
Um, I would just, if for anyone who tries to put anyone in a box, I think it
Mm-hmm.
would be that they haven't taken the time to get to know the person, their heart, their skill, or even see their potential, right? Because
Absolutely.
sometimes I can see someone who probably, it may be new, getting started, struggling still, but you see traits in them that you know they can be good. I know I can work with this person,
Mm-hmm.
because with just a little bit, if they're coachable,
Coachable,
we can
absolutely.
certainly help them to be where they need to get to, right? Help them grow. But not everybody has that foresight,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they make a quick judgment, and that's when that happens, or
Absolutely.
or if they're simply competitive at heart and don't want to see anyone else succeed, you know.
they feel, they feel like, why would you, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, have you ever have you ever tried placing other before your own needs?
Placing other people before you know. I think when you are truly coming from a servant leadership perspective,
Mm-hmm.
you're always putting other people before you.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's what they
because
taught us.
in serving someone else, you are helping them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, the truth is, you cannot forget about yourself either. Just like in the
Absolutely.
airplane, you have to put your mask first before you put someone else's, or you're going to pass out, right? You're not going to be
Mm-hmm.
good for anybody, so you always have to take care of yourself. But I don't know. I think I get more satisfaction and thrill when I help other people, and when I see them succeed. I'm truly happy to see them reach their goals. When
So
they reach their goals, I feel content to see that.
you feel satisfied, like
Yeah,
I did something.
yeah, I help that.
Was it hard
Hmm.
for you finding your own identity, um, coming into leadership? Because finding that who Rebecca is,
Hmm.
who's that Becky? They call her Becky. Because a lot of people, like the two questions that I asked you before, people try to put us in a box because they think they know Becky.
Mm.
But I've seen Rebecca, and you're such a feisty.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
don't mess with Rebecca because she will put you in your place, but with class. That sometimes you say, "Oh, you're right, I'm wrong."
Oh no.
Tell me, tell me about that.
So I think personally, I have felt, or maybe I just noticed it more, the other way around,
Hmm.
where people saw more in me than I saw in myself.
Really?
Yes, and it goes back to people. I remember I just started a podcast about a year and a half ago,
Hmm.
but a friend of mine told me 4 years ago that I should start a podcast.
Wow.
And I thought, why does she even think that I have the capacity to even have a podcast?
Here
Like,
we go again.
and 4 years earlier, see, there's been a whole evolution of growth just in the last 5 years, right?
Wow.
But that when she told me that at that point, I had never had a
Realize.
speaking engagement. I had never interviewed anybody. I had never really my videos online might have been just simple stuff. I'm like, why does she think that I could do a podcast? But she
Mm-hmm.
saw it in me,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I remember watching someone else who had a real estate podcast at the time, David Kurz. I don't know if you know him.
Yes.
And I said, well, he's got a podcast. Let me watch his. And I was like, I can't do what
I
he
can.
does. Immediately, fear came in, and I didn't think I could do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it took 4 years later.
4 years to try on to take that fear out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but it took 4 years. But you did it.
Eventually.
You
Yeah.
did it, because a lot of things with fear is that, like, and we talk about it in all of our training. We say it all the time. The best songs, the best dreams are in the cemetery, just because somebody,
Mm,
they didn't conquer their fear to put
it's so
themselves
true.
out there.
It's so true.
So that's why it has to do with putting yourself up there, like I
Mhm.
said, but
But
being
there was
okay being
something
imperfect.
else.
Uh-huh.
There was something else too, though, because when I'll take it back a little further. When I first started, I remember, like, for people that I knew, I felt
Mm-hmm.
comfortable around them.
Of course.
But meeting new people, I was painfully shy. Not only shy, I would feel anxiety. I would feel even embarrassed, like if
Why?
something didn't go. I don't know. I think maybe the fear that people would not like me, understand me, or I literally had these fears, and so I was very kind of
Timid.
timid for it.
Yes.
It would come off that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I had an experience as I came into NAREP,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all brand new, and we're at a networking event, and this was all of the top leaders from the diversity groups.
Uh-huh.
So we had groups like NAREP, NARAB, ARIA, and some of
Mhm.
the others that exist, and we're all in a room. And it's only the leaders that have been invited to this particular private event. It was being held at Florida Realtors, and everyone is networking. And I'm like, oh God.
Inside.
I start making my way around the room. I try to like get in. I'm feeling awkward, like I don't belong. I don't know if anybody can relate to that.
Uncomfortable,
Right?
yes.
Uncomfortable. So, and it feels like everybody else knows each other. Everyone's having a
Mhm.
great time. They're in full conversations. I'm like, when
You're
did
like,
they,
how
when
they
did
do
they
it?
meet? When
How
did
they
they meet?
do
Yeah,
it?
how do they know each other? Right? And so I remember just kind of eventually retreating and going to the corner of the room. And one of the girls that had came with us, who had been doing more or less the same, ends up in my corner with me. And now it's a conversation between the two of us. And so one of the gentlemen from another diversity group begins to approach me. And he's got a look on his face like, so why are you in this corner? Almost about to tell me maybe that, are you guys too good? Right. But before he could finish that statement, because I heard where it was going, I stick out my hand and say, hi, my name is Rebecca. I'm with NAREB. How can so happy to meet you. And I don't let him finish the statement. And then I remember like the look of his face was like, he wasn't expecting that. And he just went with it.
He thought all the opposite.
Yeah. So I sat there for a minute. And as I was thinking, I could get mad because he thought maybe I was conceited or too good. But I said, you know what? Shame on me. He's right. It's not that I thought I was too good, but in me feeling uncomfortable and shy, he didn't know that. And he perceived it as if I thought I was too good. And I said, I can't let people think that of me. So I'm going to have to step out of my shell. And I wanted to. I didn't want to be that shy person. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to be the first one to say hi. I'm going to be bold enough to just say hello to everybody in the room, and it starts with just doing it. Like, I didn't have any extra courage or anything else. I just said, I'm going to do it because I don't want people to think that of me.
Wow. You didn't want them to label you, but actually the wrong way. You don't want him to think something that you knew that was not you. Isn't that like incredible how the mind works?
Yeah.
And you never know what the other person is thinking.
And some people could say, well, I don't care what people think about me. But the truth is, when we have an opportunity to reach out, to be kind, to be social, to show someone else that you care, that's really who I want people to see, So I said, I need to take control of this. And I cannot let being shy or feeling awkward or like I don't belong, I can't let that control me.
Wow.
So I have to be brave, and I need to step up.
Being brave. Being brave.
Next word.
next word for all those people that are like, how can I overcome that? Be brave and put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Love that. Now, in finding your way and in finding your own identity, especially coming from a family of pastors, not only pastors, her father is one of the first founder here in Central Florida for Hispanic community. So all eyes went on her, on your family, which they're one of the pastors that married me and Jeremy. And we didn't know until later on, like, do you actually realize that your dad, not only that, they're two culture different. Her dad is Puerto Rican. You were born in Puerto Rico, San Juan?
No, I was born in Miami.
That's even more diverse. So her father is Puerto Rican and her mom is Cuban. So she has like a bomb in there, like Puerto Rican and Cuban mix is like, I can only imagine that family household. But also faith is a big part. But me coming also from that background, I understand that you get to lose who you are because of what people expect from you, because it's so-and-so, the daughter of pastor, and not only pastor, he was the superintendent, guys.
For the Assemblies of God, yeah.
For Assembly of God, which is one of the biggest,
Christian organizations, yeah.
And I want to know about that. Because a lot of people don't talk about that.
Yeah.
But remember, over here today is about imperfections. We want to know what people don't see. And I want to know what was the struggle, because we don't know who is struggling with that, about being perfect, what is expected from us, and how you found that identity on that.
I think growing up as a pastor's kid, or PK, how we say in the church, in the beginning, I remember loving church a lot and being very involved in the church. I attribute the fact that I know a lot of Spanish to the church, because having grown up, I was born in Miami, but I grew up in Orlando and studied in English. And so never did any formal schooling in Spanish at all, except for in our church. So because my father has set out to start one of the first Spanish churches for the Assemblies of God here in Orlando, he had all the materials in Spanish, and he
Mm-hmm.
would do special trips to Miami just to get that. Back in those days, there was no internet to
You have to go
order.
travel.
Yeah, you had to travel a little bit. He would order, of course, over the phone, but if you wanted to see it or if you wanted it right away, you would have to go to Miami to pick it up. And so
Wow.
I remember those little trips in the beginning, and so I remember as a kid, wanting to be able to read what was in those books. I remember, like, we had, of course, the Sunday school materials, children's church materials,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Missionettes and Royal Rangers,
I know.
and so that's like our Girl Scouts and Boy
Uh-huh.
Scouts,
Uh-huh.
and everything was in Spanish.
And
So
you're like, oh my God.
I
have to
wanted to
learn.
know, yeah. Entonces, ¿qué pasa? Que todos que vienen a la iglesia son todos hispanos también, ¿verdad? Entonces,
Yes.
tienes amistades que todos hablan full Spanish, ¿verdad? And they don't
that's your
speak much English.
practicing. That's
Yeah.
your practicing zone.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a pride for me. I wanted to learn, but then as I got older, I think the hard part was, and not so much expectations, because my father never put that on me. My father, I remember saying, I don't want you to ever feel like because you're a pastor's kid, you have to live up to an expectation. But he was strict.
Yes.
That didn't take away from the fact he was strict.
And your mom too.
My mother as well. Yes, they were a team.
There was no good
They
cop. I
were
think
the
they were
first
both.
example of a team, a solid team.
I love him. What a great story.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're practicing your Spanish. You were, born in Miami, which that's like being born in Puerto Rico, something like that, or in Cuba. Then you come to Orlando, there's a little more English. Have you ever felt like, not that you have an accent, but do you maybe have the same struggle that I do, that I mix words
Pues
all the
mira,
time?
I was very young, so it's hard for me to remember all that. But I do remember that in second grade, I was taking speech classes, and I'm like, why am I in speech classes? Do I have an accent?
I'm
And
American.
I imagine I did, because
Why would they put you in speech class?
exactly, like they pull you out of class so that you can go to speech. And that's
Wow.
only select kids that have to do that. So back in those days.
So they corrected the accent.
I imagine.
Yeah, no, she speaks
I
perfect
imagine.
English, guys. I can guarantee you that much better than mine. Even in her house, because your dad, I do remember that he did speak a lot of Spanglish.
Yeah, I mean, he was born in Brooklyn. He was born in Brooklyn, but I think, como todo, he studied in Spanish. So and of course, wanting to preach in Spanish, he learned everything in Spanish. So he was still stronger. And even though he could preach in English, his comfort level was always in Spanish. Even I think his praying was always in Spanish as well. My mother as well, yes.
Well, your mom was, Cuban.
Sí.
So she pushed
Pero
him.
mira, she got here when she was 15.
Every Cuban, they're just, if they go through Miami, listen, you don't learn nothing. If you go through Miami, you're like, you don't have to learn English.
Yeah. Well, her life was a little harder though, because she went to Boston, and there was no ESOL.
Wow.
They wanted to retain her. She didn't want to be retained. And so, she
had
struggled
to.
with that. Yeah. And not knowing a lick of English, because back in those, and anyone who comes straight from Cuba, most of them don't know English at all.
No,
Not
we
even
don't.
like
No.
not even like one or two words, salt and peppered.
No.
Eso se aprende aquí.
Maybe yes, no.
Mm,
Maybe hello.
maybe.
That's it.
Sí, y ahora, but we're talking about,
Yeah, no, in Cuba, there's no.
she came here in the 60s.
Well, remember, Cuba, guys, for those that don't know, Cuba is under communism for more than 60 plus years. So anything that has to do with America, anything that has to do with the United States, those are the Yankees. So they want nothing to do in English. Actually, the second language that you speak in Cuba is Russian. It's Russian. So actually, in the 80s and 90s, there's a bunch of Russians named in Cuba just due to the communism. So because their affiliation with Russia. So that was our second language. My dad sometimes tell me a couple words. I'm like, oh my God, that's really hard. But the last question that I want to ask you, and it's been amazing, the whole entire trip that you're taking us. You're taking us to this beautiful path. But I had an experience with this question because somebody asked me for it. And I said, that's a beautiful way for every woman and anybody that comes here to even analyze yourself. What will you tell the younger Becky? So if you have 300 words to tell that younger Becky, what would that be?
I think it would be to have more confidence because I think I lacked that in my earlier years.
Mm-hmm.
And that somehow kind of tries to show its face every now and then, and you have to kind of push yourself to
Mm-hmm.
continue succeeding, but to just have more confidence because I think I let people's uh, opinions of
Mm-hmm.
me or things just kind of set me back. I think I became withdrawn at one point, and I think if I would be able to tell myself to have more confidence, to just be unafraid to be myself, and I think that's good advice for anybody. Be unapologetically yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just pursue your dreams, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think apply myself a little better in school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I feel like for most of my years growing up, I think I felt like I was not that great at school.
Mm-hmm.
And after I graduated, I remember I took a course, and it was like a 8-week course, and I was doing really well in it. And I surprised myself because I had all A's and B's, and I've never been an AB student. I was
Wow.
always kind of CD student.
Me
I hate to admit that, but
too.
I know I was. And you know what? And I think what I realized in that moment was that I didn't apply myself. I didn't care enough. And because of that, I was always failing. But I think there was a part of me that thought I couldn't do better.
Wow.
And so I kind of surprised myself when I did do it. I was like, oh, shoot, if I am actually interested in the things that I'm learning, then I am capable of getting great grades, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And something I want to share that I heard
Mm-hmm.
today. It was, I don't even know how I came across it, but I was listening to a video, and the guy was talking about how this guy he was failing out of school, and he le tocó hacer el SAT.
Mm-hmm.
He had to do the SAT, and he takes his test and he scores a 1480,
Okay.
and that's a really high score for an SAT.
Okay.
And his mom is like, did you cheat on the test? Like, your mom knows you, right? Knows what you're capable of giving. And he's like,
Dito.
I can't cheat on that test. There were so many, things
Mm-hmm.
about the test that it was impossible to cheat. I literally got a 1480. I did good. I passed it. He almost aced it, right?
Wow.
And so he goes on to complete his studies, massively successful. And then 12 years later, I don't know if it's like Princeton gets back to him just to let him know that there was a mistake when he took his SAT.
He was in his
He actually scored a 700. So what changed? He became massively successful.
confidence.
It was the confidence. So they say, oh, well, so he got a 1480 and so his life changed. But the truth it wasn't just that he got that 1480. It's that he decided he was going to live up to that. Wait, I am smart. And
Wow.
so he applied himself better. He did what a 1480 student would do, go to class and do better and be more applied. And so those things, so I think the takeaway here is, you know, do the work that it takes. Believe that you are that superstar
Mm-hmm.
and don't wait to get there. Just believe that you are and walk in that.
Wow. That's an amazing story
Mm,
of confidence, and that's why I think for moms out there, you know, it's very imperative for us to support our children,
mm,
even in whatever level they are.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
perfect example like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even the mom start guessing.
Yeah.
Really?
You did you make that? Did you cheat?
So our ecosystem is very important for that growth, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we spoke today about bravery, being brave,
Mm-hmm.
being confident,
Mm-hmm.
you know, trust yourself, about collaborating and bring others, which
Mm-hmm.
is, it sounds familiar, guys, from the last episode. Bring others with you and give what nobody have ever given to you. Be
Mm-hmm.
that first person to make that difference. Um, there's a lot of people out there that they really don't believe in themselves, you know, because of whatever happened, society. Maybe you didn't grow up in a healthy environment with your parents, but it's up to you to switch that belief system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that belief, our actions come from our belief system.
Mm.
And actually, I was learning last week that our brain produces 65,000 thoughts a day. It's
Mm.
a lot. make sure, guys, that at least an 80% of that is you encouraging yourself and affirmation. This is something that we started with a younger one, Aria. And every night, Jeremy puts her in front of the mirror after she takes a shower, and he goes, "I am beautiful." She goes, "I am beautiful. I'm a lion. I'm a lion. I am brave. I am brave. I am kind. I am kind." You know, those words get into our
Mm.
children,
Mhm.
even when they do not believe it. And she will never forget how her father used to
I love
encourage her,
that. I love that
And that's
so
what we need to do, not
much.
even with the children, our people around us, for our confident level to go up, to have a better environment of people around that have no idea which way to go.
Mhm.
So right now you have talked to me not only about bravery, um, but about somebody encouraging you,
Mm.
like already twice
Mhm.
in the career real estate,
Mhm.
and in your career. I mean, to having another podcast. So let's start making a change. Let's start making a
Absolutely.
change today, guys. I challenge you guys today to at least approach 3 people, something beautiful that you
I
see
love
about
that.
that person, and encourage them. The power of encouragement or affirmation is so strong, can even save a person's life. So
Mm.
let's do it today.
I love it.
Okay?
I love it.
You have opened up, I mean, a side that I wanted to share, because I know everybody always saw that beautiful butterfly that you are. You're
Oh,
beautiful in that
thank
sense,
you.
inside out, but you're a great leader. And great leaders are reflected by the people that you're bringing along with you.
Thank
And
you.
we all see that.
Thank you.
And in Central Florida, everybody's seeing that. So
Mhm.
let's do more of this, collaborate. And again, guys, let's make a difference, and let's cheer to that. With, by the
Cheers.
way, this is my new rosé from I Got an Accent. So what?
Woo!
Cheers to that. Thank you for coming, baby.
Thank you.
Mwah.